Hello and welcome to our short demo of our cross-browser testing tool BrowseEmAll. Before we start, just as a quick reminder, BrowseEmAll is a desktop application, so it runs entirely on your machine and does not need any server interaction to work right. That means you could use it in an offline environment, in a secure lab, or to test web applications or web pages that are hosted on localhost on your machine or in a local staging environment that is not available to the public internet. The application runs on Windows, on Mac OS and on Linux. Here we can see the Windows version, but the functionality is identical in all three different operating systems. Generally, the application is separated into main parts. One main part is the manual testing part, as you can see here, and the other part is the automated testing part. And I will walk you through the different features one by one just to get a feel for what the application can do. The first feature I would like to show is live testing. And live testing is just a way of launching a specific browser and version directly on your machine to test a page or try to find a specific issue a customer is having. Please note that the browsers do not need to be installed on your machine for BrowseEmAll to work right. So let's assume we want to test our homepage with a specific version of Firefox. And we can just start the test right here, and the application will download and launch the browser here directly on my machine, so I can test with it just as I would be able to with the natively installed browser. Here we can see it works correctly. You can use the developer tools and everything to find and fix issues quickly. Of course, there is a wide range of browsers available inside BrowseEmAll, not only for live testing but for every feature you will see. This includes different versions of Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari and different mobile simulators as well. The next feature I would like to show is what we call Browser Compare. And Browser Compare can be used to speed up your manual regression testing time. So let's assume we need to do a manual regression test in a few different browsers for the search engine inside our blog. And we can speed this up quite nicely here if we select more than one browser. Let's assume we know Firefox and again Google Chrome. And what the application now does is it will launch both of these browsers and then synchronize our user interaction between these different browsers. So here we have Firefox to the right and Google Chrome to the left. And now if we take a look at the search field here, if I type in my search query in Google Chrome, it will be synchronized across to Firefox automatically. And if I hit the button, then it will execute the search in both browsers at the same time. With this, you can greatly speed up your regression testing by only having to run through your testing script in one browser and periodically checking the other browsers if the functionality still works as expected. At the end of the test, we can just close the browsers again and our regression test is done. Of course, you can select more than two browsers if you need to test for more than two browsers at the same time. Another thing BrowseEmAll can do for you is it can check the layout of your page in different browsers. So let's assume we want to test the layout of a specific page. And of course I have a page prepared for that. And then we select as many browsers as we want. Let's, as a sake of argument, use Chrome and Firefox again. And the application will now open this page under test, create a screenshot automatically, and check the final DOM of the page for layout issues as well. So here we can see in Firefox the page looks like that with a red rectangle, and on Google Chrome it looks different. Of course, this is a known issue here for the page to show you this great feature. Here on the left hand side you can see the layout base, which is Firefox in this example, and on the right hand side you can see that it looks different in Chrome. And here below we can actually see that BrowseEmAll detected that the element is smaller on Google Chrome. It will even highlight the element if I click on it. And it has also detected that the color of the element is different. And just like that, you can quickly find layout issues between different browsers. You can either do this manually, or the application comes with a command line interface where you can run this in an automated fashion on a CI server somewhere after each build, stuff like that. The last manual testing feature is what we call page analytics. And page analytics will test the page, and more specifically the HTML and CSS of a page, for issues with the code. So it can both find browser independent issues like missing tags, closing tags for example, or it can also find compatibility issues like for example a tag that a specific browser does not support. And for that we need to select one or more browsers here and generate the analytics. And after a few seconds our results will come up, and we can see here that it has found no general errors on the page, so no missing closing tags for example, but it has found 3 compatibility issues. And if we take a look here, we can see that it, for example, has identified here the section tag, which is not supported natively in Internet Explorer 8, which we selected before. So this could be a potential bug, for example. We can of course save this report to a PDF to send it off to a development team or somebody else to take a look at. And of course this is also supported in the command line interface of the application, so you could run these reports in an automated fashion if necessary. Let's move on to the automated testing features. All the features you've seen before are manual testing features, but of course you might want to actually automate some part of your testing so you don't have to do this again and again, the same steps. Now let's go back to our example with the block search test, which we did a manual regression test before. And BrowseEmAll has a way of automating these kind of regression tests. And for this we have the test recorder, which allows you to record a test script and later on run it again on as many browsers as you want, as many times as you need. So in this example we will now create a new test for the block search, and later on we can rerun this test again and again. To record a new test, BrowseEmAll will open an instance of Google Chrome and inject our BrowseEmAll recorder into it, as you can see here at the bottom right. And now every action I take will automatically be recorded and can later be played back as necessary. So let's assume we want to test the search functionality here. I will search for Selenium in the block, and as you can see here, the search is executed correctly, and we can actually see the Selenium posts in the results. But of course, if we run this test in an automated fashion later on, we will need to create validations inside the test script so that the test script can tell itself if the functionality was successful. And how can we do this? Here at the BrowseEmAll recorder we have three buttons. We have validate text, we have validate element, and we have take screenshot. And we can now instruct our test script that it has to validate that after searching for selenium, the results should actually contain the text selenium, which makes sense. Of course, we could also validate a specific element, like a form element or a picture, something like that. And we could add a step to our test script to, at this step, take a screenshot, so that if the test fails on a CI server somewhere, we can take a look at the screenshot and see what's actually wrong with the application at the point where the test failed. Now if we take a look back at the application, we can see that it recorded all our steps. So entering selenium in the search field, clicking on the button to submit the search, and then verifying the text selenium. Let's stop the recording here, and the application will now create a new test suite for you, which we could rename to block tests, for example. And the awesome thing here is that now we can use the run button to run this test again against as many browsers as we want. So let's say, for example, we want to run it against Firefox again and against Google Chrome. We can do so simply by clicking Start here after we selected the browsers. Of course, we can see here that the test is executing the search, and the test in Google Chrome is running as well. You can see to the right it is executing the search, and that's it. Of course, we can also run this test in an automated fashion. There is a command line available, and it will create a results XML file that most common CI servers will be able to interpret to actually tell if something was successful or not. The last feature I would like to show you is the Selenium grid integration. So maybe you already use Selenium tests to run automated UI tests, and you want to run these tests against the browsers which BrowseEmAll can provide to you. And that's really easy as well. You can just select different browsers you want to have in your Selenium grid here, and I will only select 2, but you can select as many browsers as you want. And now we have a Selenium grid available on this local machine where we can run our Selenium tests against without having to change the code, aside from the URL it needs to connect to the Selenium grid, which is displayed here. And of course, you don't need to install this on every developer's machine. You could have a central Selenium grid server in your infrastructure where the tool is running and providing the grid for you. And of course, you can have more than one of these servers. So let's say, for example, you want to run your tests on a Windows server or a Windows machine with the Windows browsers. You want to run your tests on a macOS machine with the macOS browser versions. You just need 2 different machines, and you can tie them both together with the Selenium grid inside BrowseEmAll as well. The last quick thing I would like to show you is, if you don't have any Selenium tests right now, but you might want to use that later on, you can still use the test recorder to record your tests now, run them inside the tool, and later on, if you're ready to use Selenium to its fullest, directly the code, you can use the export function inside the test recorder to export your recorded tests to different programming languages like C#, Java, Python or Ruby, and then use them directly and run them against the Selenium grid inside BrowseEmAll. So that's all there is to our cross-browser testing software. I think it will greatly help you in your day-to-day testing and development needs. If you like it, you can go to our website right now and get a 2 weeks free trial. And keep in mind that because the tool runs on your machine and not on our servers, we do not charge you a subscription fee, a monthly or yearly fee. Instead, BrowseEmAll is a licensed software with a one-time purchase. So it's really affordable and a great software to use in day-to-day web development. Thank you.